Welcome to the Course Creators Podcast with your host, Sarah Cordner. Learn all about profitably educating your marketplace, creating online and offline training courses, marketing and selling online courses, and building a successful education-based business. You are listening to the world's leading resource for edupreneurs and modern-day course creators. And here's your edupreneur queen, Sarah Cordner.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Course Creators Podcast. I'm Sarah Cordner, your host, and today we have an awesome topic for you. Today's topic is all about going over the 10 stages of creating a wildly successful online course. So this, guys, is about giving you the bird's eye view. This is about giving you the bigger picture of all of the major milestones that you're going to need to go through as you create your own online course. Let's face it, preparation is what leads us to success. When we know what kind of stuff we're going to have to plan for, prepare for, put into place, execute, even get some pennies ready for in some cases, this whole process is going to be full of less surprises and therefore going to be much easier for us to do. So, little tip here for you before we go into what the 10 steps actually are is when it comes to teaching, when it comes to giving your information and giving your advice to people, one of the important things for you to do is always start that by explaining to people what the end result looks like. If you can show people the end result first, it's much easier for their brain to form the neural pathways that are required to help them get there. As an example, if you're teaching cake baking, for instance, when you show people straight away the cake they're going to create, then give them the ingredients, what they'll all do is then attempt to recreate what they saw at the beginning, and they'll all come out with something somewhat like the example that was shown to them. However, if you're in a situation where you start the class, you give them all the ingredients, and then you go, all right, bake a cake. What will happen is the final result will be that all of the students will have very, very different types of cakes. And this is because they all use and connect back to their historical knowledge and historical information of what baking cakes looks like. So some might go and create little muffins. Some might end up with biscuits or cookies. Some might end up with a big Victoria sponge. Some might end up with a ladybird cake, right? So what happens is because they weren't given something to aim for or a roadmap of where they were going, we have a very tumultuous learning experience because people feel uncertain of what the steps are. They also are going to end up with very insecure and incorrect results. So why I'm telling you this particular podcast episode next is what the main overview is going to be, is so that you can go into this journey informed of the overall process and what the end result looks like. In essence, I'm setting you up for success. The second thing I'm doing, and here's another technique that I want you to pinch, is I'm also giving you reason to subscribe to this amazing Course Creators podcast, because each of the major steps of course creation require a hell of a lot more strategy, a lot of activities and things that you need to do. Obviously, we can't cover a whole how to create your online course in one podcast episode. So in future episodes, we're going to be going into each of the 10 stages in much more detail. So do make sure that you subscribe so you get your hands on those. But this is going to really set you up for success. So what are we waiting for? Let's get cracking. Grab yourself a pen and paper, pour a cup of tea. Let's get comfy and start creating some courses. Now, the first stage of creating an online course, I suppose, is to pick a topic, right? It's going to help us if we know what we're going to write our course on. And there's a bit of a strategy here because I've seen some people picking topics based on what's trending in the world right now. Now, this is all well and good if you are a walking encyclopedia. However, it's not great for your students if you just randomly pick a topic because that's what happens to be popular right now, because your students can absolutely see through whether you know what you're talking about or not. If you're standing there having to read from a script and think and go, it's going to be obvious that you don't know. It's really clear when you know your topic because you don't need scripts, you don't need slides, you don't need prompts or anything like that. You just go with it. You just talk. Your passion's there. Your knowledge is there. So you're going to make a pretty crappy learning experience if you are just picking stuff because that's what's big right now. When it comes comes to picking the perfect topic, I tell people to really think about 3 key things. And that is, first and foremost, that's a topic that you absolutely love. It must be a topic that you love, because creating an online course requires a lot of passion. It requires a lot of hard work. And not only that, when the online course is finished, that really is just the start. You then have to live and breathe that online course in order for it to sell. Because the truth is, guys, when you create an online course, it doesn't mean that people are going to come and buy it. You then have to start marketing it, and your sales are directly proportionate to the amount of marketing that you do. So I say to a lot of edupreneurs and course creators, if you're going to create a training program, make sure that you are committed to spending at least the next 18 months to 2 years promoting that, if you want it to actually earn you any money. So if you don't love it, believe me, you are going to absolutely hate your life by the time you finish this course and try to make any sales from it, if it's not something that truly is a passion of yours. So this is a good thing, really, because if we're teaching something we're passionate about, there's actually a hell of a lot more things we can be teaching. Because when we first think about teaching an online course, what a lot of edupreneurs do is they go, right, I must think about my professional skills, or I must think about, like, teachery, schooly, profession-y type things, whereas you really don't. There are people I know, I'm friends with great online course creators out there, who found that they had a passion for baking. And one of my online course creator friends, she's doing really, really well. She has a huge successful online school that's just about how to bake bread. Incredibly successful, massively loved by her audience, all because she found something she loves and she's created a course on it. Another friend of mine creates jewelry. That was her passion. She has a passion for jewelry. She's now got an incredibly successful and highly profitable business teaching people how to make jewelry. So what do you love? So this is the first thing I want you to do, is grab a pen and paper and write down 100 things that you love. Just keep going. It can be a certain type of food. It can be people. It can be a pastime. It can be a hobby. It can be a professional topic. What do you love doing? Because this is the number one most important ingredient to creating a successful online course. So once you've written down 100 things that you love, we then want to look at one of the second most important or critical elements of creating an online course. And that is, are you actually good at it? I mean, this is obvious, but it helps, right? If you're going to be teaching someone how to do something, ideally you want to be able to do that very, very naturally, to the point that you have done it so many times. A bit like when you've been driving for years, you can drive to work and get there and not even remember having driven there, because of the fact that task, that activity has become so automatic to you that you can just very naturally pass that information on and do it without thinking about it. So your next thing you need to write down is another column of 100 things that you know how to do. So once you've done that, again, this can really be anything. First of all, just to get your juices flowing, it could be something as simple as, I know how to bake a cake, or I know how to be kind to people. I know how to advise my friends when they're feeling sad, whatever it might be. Then maybe go into some of your professional things that you do. What do you do every day? A lot of people think that they need to be highly qualified and have a business and expertise in something to be able to teach it. There's stuff you do every single day, probably without even thinking, that could be the perfect topic for you to pass on to somebody else. Now, before I go on to the third thing, I really want to bring this next point home, because when I say to edupreneurs and course creators who are thinking about creating training programs and they go, but Sarah, I'm not good at anything, or I'm not amazing at anything, or I don't have a qualification in anything, I'm like, dude, right. First of all, let's just acknowledge the fact that there are lots of things you can do, but there are people out there that don't know how to do that yet. You may be looking at all of the people that are better than you at stuff, right? You're not going out to teach the things that they're better than you at. You're going out to teach the things that you do know how to do. You're not creating a course on what you don't know how to do. You're not creating a course on the skills you haven't got yet. You're not creating a course on the things you don't know yet. You're going to create a course on the stuff you do know already, that you've been doing your whole life, that you've been in training for your whole life, that you can go and start talking about right now. So let's not worry about the whole I'm not a super multi-award winning celebrity in something. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build a course quite simply on something we know how to do. And I could bet your bottom dollar there's a lot of them. So the third column of stuff you're going to write down to pick the perfect topic for your online course is to then write down 100 things that you have experience in. So this could be formal experience. You could have formal experience. You could also have experience that you've done off the job, just life experience. Now, here's another cool thing, guys, that I really want you to think about. What can you give the world? How can you help the world? How can you share with the world? How can you pass what you have on to other people? Is to think also about your life experiences. And I really want you to draw upon this here. I was talking to one of my coaching clients recently, and she said, Sarah, I'd love to create a course. I'd love to be a professional speaker. I'd love to write a book, but I just don't know what to make that in. And I asked her to talk a little bit about her life. And this particular person had been through a lot of trauma in her life. And in particular, a lot of people in her family, in her close family, had passed away. And she sort of just was saying, how can I create a course on anything? And I said to her, well, what strategies did you use to get through all of those experiences that you went through in your life? You've overcome these horrible experiences time after time after time. How did you get through that? Because not everybody does get through a series of experiences like that, like you have done. And she said, well, I don't know. I just survived. And I said, right, well, how did you survive? Anyway, after a bit of conversation, I asked her, first of all, to just explain this to me very openly. And she said, well, first of all, I went through the holy fuck stage. And I was like, okay, well, tell me about the holy fuck stage. What happened? What were you thinking? How were you feeling? What were you going through? We talked about that. She wrote them down. Then what stage did you go through? And then I went through the whole, oh God, not me again. Poor me, pity, right? Okay, what did that feel like? What happened? And we went through, and then we went through the next stage she went through, and we broke it all down. And what happened then is we came up with a formal model of the process or the cycle that one might go through when they're going through that experience. Then what I did is I went back through that cycle with her. So straight away, we've got a model. That's a commercial productized item that she can now go on and sell. This could be, the ladies model for X, Y, and Z, the ladies process for X, Y, and Z, the ladies 7-step process for X, Y, and Z. She can go and create a keynote on that straight away, right? So already by simply mapping out the steps that you went through when you went through an experience, straight away you're productizing something. The next and important part when it comes to teaching and educating and passing knowledge on is that we went through each of those stages and we said, okay, what did you do when you were going through that stage? How did you overcome that part of the stage and move on to the next one? And this was, this took a bit of thinking. I really had to push her back into those experiences. And she said, well, in this instance, I talked to friends and we did this. Then my thought process changed in this way because I did this action. Then I read this book and that worked because X, Y, and Z happened. And I was like, right, okay. So the point is, whether you realize it or not, when you go through any experience, good, bad, somewhere in between, you are using strategies to pass through that situation. So what the world wants to know is, what did you do? What the world wants to know is, how did you do it? So all you need to do as an expert, as a leader, as an educator, as an edupreneur, as a course creator, is simply come up with those hows, with the what did you do, with the how did you do it part. So from that, you've now got your own personal model that stands you out from the crowd. So here's the thing, right? This could be the currently out there in the world, the model of cycle of grief is like this. However, I'm a thought leader, so my opinion is that actually this happens. And how do you overcome it? Well, the traditional model will say that you need to do X, Y, and Z, but because I'm a thought leader, I believe that really to get true results, this is what you need to do. So this is now how you become a strong, independent, powerful, differentiated leader from everyone that's out there. This is how you have strategies, processes that people can follow that are different from everybody else. This is how you create a topic for your online course that absolutely stands out from your competition. So what you love, what you're good at, what you have experience in. Those are your 3 columns you've now written down 100 things in. here's what you're going to do now. So now you're going to go through those lists and you're going to mark 10 out of 10, a score of 10 out of 10 for each one of those lists, where 1 is you don't love it very much, not very good at it, not a lot of experience, and 10 is absolutely love it, loads of experience, really good at it. If you write this in a template that I've got in my online course, How to Create Profitable Courses, what you can do is filter all of your 10 out of 10s so that you have all of your 10s at the top. Now, what you're looking for to find the perfect topic for your online course is a theme where all 3 columns match. If you've got 10 out of 10 out of 10 for something you love, you're good at, and you have experience in, that, my course creator friends, is your perfect online course topic. Now, we're going to go into creating the perfect topic in a lot more detail in a future podcast, but hopefully that's going to give you some food for thought for the first stage of creating a wildly successful online course. Well, guys, you've got a taste. That was just step 1 of creating a wildly successful online course. There are 10. There are 10. That was just the first one. So if you found that helpful, please give it a little share on this live stream here. And of course, go to coursecreatorspodcast.com, stick your little name in the box at the top. And when this episode comes out, you will be notified so you can get the rest of the 9 steps. Hope you found that useful. Anyone got any questions on course creation, do come and let me know. sarahcordner.com. There's loads of information there. Also, the online course on how to create online courses is open. And you can also, if you just can't be bothered to do it yourself, you can outsource the whole lot to my team, because we also create your whole online courses for you, do all your film editing, set up your online school and all of that stuff too. So send me a private message or head on over to my website. Otherwise, thanks for checking in. Love y'all. Bye. All right, so step number 2 for creating a wildly successful online course is to make sure that it has market demand. I mean, hands up, who wants to create an online course for no one to buy it? Tumbleweed. Yeah, didn't think so, right? So we want to make sure that we've picked the perfect course topic. Now, is it going to fly? Is it actually going to sell? Is anyone going to want it? Ideally, we want people buying that thing before we've even built it, because it's so ravenously in market demand. So there's a number of strategies we need to go through. And in fact, this section is massive. This is where we need to really do some proper market research activities, which we're not going to cover in this particular podcast, because I have a couple of other podcasts that cover this topic because it's so big. But essentially, guys, what we really want to be looking at here are 3 major things. And the first one really is, are people talking about it? If people aren't talking about your topic, there's a small chance that there isn't a market demand for it. So one of the things that happens when I say to course creators, what's your course topic going to be? What are you going to write your course on? They go, well, I was going to do it on this, but there's just so much competition that I've decided that I can't write a course on that. And I'm like, say what? You're not going to write a course on something because there's competition, right? This is crazy, because if there is competition in your topic, guess what that means? It means that there's a market of buyers for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling stuff in that market. Okay, so if people are selling stuff in that market, it means that it's working and it's good and there are consumers. So what it doesn't mean is that you're going to go out and start selling the same thing. Obviously, if you're just going to go out there and directly compete, you're going to have a right old struggle on your hands. This is going to be seriously hard work for you, because you're going to have to compete with those. What you want to do is take a look at that competition and go, okay, how can mine be better? How can mine be different in any kind of way? Because you want something, the perfect pitch for this is, it's similar but different. Similar is great because it means there's a market. If it's too different and no one's talking about it, it means that there's either no demand, or it means that you are going to have to work really, really hard to build your own demand. You're going to have to create a market yourself. So I'm not saying that it's impossible to do that. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying that you just be prepared that you're going to have to make sure you bring your own market to that table. You're going to have to make that work yourself. So that perfect sort of pitch point in the middle is going to be, there is competition. Your course is similar but different. So is it similar and different? Tick. That means we're all good to continue. Now, secondly, Are people talking about it? There's a number of different ways you can do this. You can go into Q&A forums and you can type in your keywords into those Q&A forums and see if there are questions being asked on your topic with those keywords. You can go into Facebook. You can go into the main Facebook search bar at the top with your keywords and see what posts come up. There's some really great filters you can use to find the latest public posts with those keywords in them. You can also go into press the groups filter, and if groups exist with that exact topic and there are lots of people in those groups, guess what? High market demand opportunity. You can then join those groups and really take this further. So the fact that groups exist in your topic is a great start. Then join the groups, and inside the groups there's a secondary search box. Again, put your keywords inside there. You can see if people are asking questions about it, talking about it. Again, if there are, it means you've got some high market demand. So that's another thing to check. Another thing to check is it trending right now? Is it something that's actually going up in the trend, or is it something that's plateauing or starting to decrease? Obviously, if you've got a plateau or a decrease, different topic, let's move on, no market demand. So there's a really cool tool, it's free, it's called Google Trends. So go into Google Trends, type in your keywords, press search, and what it will do is it will show you whether that keyword or that topic is trending upwards, flatwards, or downwards. Flatwards, that's totally a word, or downwards over time. And obviously, like I say, you want something that's increasing. And obviously, the more rapidly it's increasing, the more demand on your topic is going to be, and the more of a goer that topic actually is. So they are the main quick points and quick checks that you can do. And another major one is then going out and obviously surveying your marketplace. So if you already have an audience, this is going to be easy for you. Simply ask the question, hey guys, I'm planning on creating an online course on X. Would you be interested? Yes or no? That's as simple as it is, right? And if you're getting a lot of people coming back going, yes, 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 hell yes, great. If you can set up pre-sales for that and get them to put their money in your pocket and pay for that in advance, even better, because that proves to you that people truly are willing to buy it. And it's not just your mates going, oh yeah, I support you, even though it sounds like a load of shit. So even if it's just like a $1 pre-sale, that's just enough purely at this stage to prove that they are interested in that. Okay, so once you've checked you've got market demand for your online course, step number 3 is you now want to create some compelling and magnetic learning outcomes. Learning outcomes. Now this is the bit where a lot of learning people, course creators and edupreneurs go, oh God, learning outcomes, boring, lesson plans. Yeah, this bit isn't the most fun bit in the world, but it's one of the most critical, because the learning outcome does a couple of very important things. The first important thing it does is clearly and explicitly and measurably explain exactly what your online course is going to provide for your students. So it's really very clearly going to tell them, if you join this course, this is the result that you are going to get. So this acts as your sales copy. This very clearly entices, magnetizes your students in the first place, and is going to be what makes them decide whether or not they're going to buy it. Let me ask you the question. Have you ever bought a product when you don't know what it is or what it does or how it's going to help you? Probably not, right? You only buy things when you know what it's going to do for you. Therefore, the clearer and more detailed this description and these learning outcomes can be, the better it's going to be for your sales conversions. So that's the first thing. The second thing it does is, by writing explicitly clear and measurable learning outcomes, you're actually going to filter out all of the people that your course is not for. Now, those courses that don't have clear learning outcomes and are quite vague in their description attract, yes, more people. So initially they're going to make more sales, right? However, here is a problem with that technique, is when the wrong people join your course because they have made an assumption about what they might get from it, if they don't get what they thought in their head they were going to get because the instructions weren't clear enough, what we do is our brain fills the gaps for us, right? If they don't get what they thought they were going to get, this is what happens. Sarah Cordner's course was rubbish, right? Was Sarah Cordner's course rubbish, or did the person just not know what they were going to get from the course because my learning outcomes were rubbish? That's the question, right? So if you're getting people joining your course with unclear expectations about what your course is going to provide for them, you are much more likely to get unsatisfied or dissatisfied customers. Let me fix my English. You're more likely to get dissatisfied customers, and that is not good for business. If you have someone walking away going, your course was pants, then you are going to lose much more customers. You're going to have refund requests that I highly recommend you just pay because some people are psychos. So you keep their $47. God forbid, it's going to be problems for you. So if you get your learning outcomes right in the first place, from the outset, they know whether or not that course is right for them. And I'm very pleased to say I've not had any refund requests on my online courses. So learning outcomes are great for those two reasons. The other reason why learning outcomes are fantastic is because it actually helps you as the course creator. One of the biggest things that happens with course creation is we get stupidly overwhelmed. So when we have a list of clearly defined learning outcomes, this is going to help us filter out all of the content we don't need, which moves us very nicely onto step number 4 of creating a wildly successful online course, which is gathering your content. So this is the bit where most course creators fall into the bog of eternal procrastination. This is the bit where people just go, oh my God, I can't do this. Right, I'm going to go and drink some wine. They go drink some wine. This is the bit, right, where I'm imagining it now, right, what your office looks like. You're about to create a course. There's probably like books all over your desk that have got post-it notes sticking out of them. You've probably got pages worth of notes all over the place, scraps of paper. You've got a hard drive full of notes. You've got ideas that are just literally falling out of your ear holes, and you have no idea where to even start with all this content, right? It's fact. The biggest thing is not that you don't know what to teach. It's not that you don't have any content to give. It's the fact that you've got too much. It's the fact that your brain is like, oh my God, there's so much stuff I could teach. Where do I begin? This is the most common thing that course creators face. So this is where those trusty old learning outcomes you created in stage 3 really come in and help you out here, because here's what you do. First of all, you're going to break up your content into smaller pieces as possible. I don't want you to have like massive topic number 1. I want you to look at massive topic number 1 and break out every single individual tip or instruction that you provide into its individual parts. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look at your learning outcomes and get all of your bits and go, bit number 1, does this directly align to a learning outcome or not? If the answer is no, bye bit. Let's put that in a pile for other courses later on. So this is great because the learning outcomes now, more importantly, don't just tell you what you need to include, because obviously every learning outcome needs to have some content aligned to it to make sure we're delivering that learning outcome as part of the course. If that piece of content doesn't directly align to the student achieving a learning outcome, it means we don't need it in this course. It means it's going to go somewhere else. So it really helps us know what to filter out. So you can just grab that pile of books, grab that pile of stuff in your hard drive, that pile of post-it notes, and just go, learning outcomes, yes or no? No. Learning outcomes, yes, it does. So it goes with that one. Now, what happens is, as you're starting to put your content next to each learning outcome, you start naturally moving into stage 5 of creating a wildly successful online course. And we'll go into that in just a second, because part 4, there's still another piece. So what we've done now is we've filtered out our content. We've filtered out the stuff we don't need. So now we've got all this stuff that we do need. We are now going to decide whether the stuff we've got is information or implementation. And we're going to go through the piles again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at all that stuff. And we're going to go, okay, right, this thing number 1 that we've put next to learning outcome number 1, is that just me waffling on about a load of old info that they can get online freely from a search? Is it critical information to teaching the learning outcome? Or can I just get straight to the point and show them how? Because the important thing about online courses today is that people like to know the how. They're just like, just shut up and tell me what I need to do. People are time poor, and you're going to lose your students if they feel like you're wasting their time. If your students are not consuming all of your content, they're not completing all of your courses, they're not watching the whole video, it's actually going to damage your search ranking. You want people to finish the whole whole course, because that shows Google that your content is interesting to humans. And therefore, when humans put in search criteria into Google or YouTube that contain words that your content has, guess what? It's your stuff that's going to come up. So you want people to be finishing and consuming all of your content. So this means getting rid of any waffle or any information that doesn't get straight to the point of how, gimme, show me that learning outcome, that learning objective. All right, so let's go back to number 5 now. So number 5 is all about structuring your online course. We want to make sure that that structure is organized in a way that's going to make the learning program as logical as possible. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this depending on the type of course that you're teaching, because some courses, by the nature of the topic, mean that you have to do module 1, lecture 1 before you can move to lecture 2. You have to do lectures 1 and 2 before you can move to 3. You have to do 3. Yeah, so you get my point, right? So if yours is like that, then this is going to be quite a simple process for you, because all you're now going to do is go through your content and go, okay, we've got learning outcomes, a list of them. Now just simply, first of all, rearrange those learning outcomes into what you think are the most logical manner. Then next to each learning outcome, you should now have a pile of stuff that you've just organized. You're going to now take the pile of stuff for each learning outcome and go, right, is this learning outcome a module in its own right? Or are there a couple of modules within this? Break it up into the most logical groups, first of all. So you get lots of little groups of these sort of tips, information, pieces of advice. And those little groups can now form your modules. And how long should they be? How much should be in there? That's for another podcast topic later on, because that's another big topic in its own right. But first of all, you're just going to put them all into little groups that match and feel the same and feel like they naturally go together. Those are your modules. Then within the groups, you're going to have your little tips, which are going to form your lectures. So what you're going to do is look at those and go, do they obviously go in an order? Like, do you have to do this before you can move to that, before you can move to that, before you can move to that? Or are they just a random bunch of tips that then don't have to go in any sequential order at all? They're the two ways. Sequential and progressive means going in order, or non-sequential just means you've just got a list of tips that are just grouped together in similar manners. That's all about the structure. Now, there's lots and lots of techniques that I use to actually structure my content. A lot of tools that I use to do that. Now, those can't be shown to you in a podcast. You do actually have to take the online course if you want those tips. I simply cannot go through those without the visual demonstration on the screen. So if you do want to get some help with structuring your online course and how some of the methods I use to do that, do go on to sarahcordiner.com/create course, and you can get my online course, How to Create Profitable Courses, which will show you all of the different methods that you can use. All right, we're now going to move on to step 6 of creating a wildly successful online course. Now, step number 6 is all about choosing the perfect delivery method. So this particular section now, you've now got a plan, right? You've now got sections, modules, you've got an order of the content you're going to deliver. Now what you want to do is go, well, how am I going to deliver this? Now, again, this is going to depend on who you're teaching, what you're teaching, but this is the bit where you really want to make sure that you're choosing a delivery method that's going to be as engaging as possible for your audience and as accessible as possible for your particular audience. So there's a number of different things you can use, and we go into delivery and teaching in a lot of other episodes, but are you going to do a talking head video? Now, if you're watching the vidcast of this podcast, this is a talking head video that I'm recording right now because my face is in the camera and you can see my head literally talking to you, right? That's a talking head video, and there's 2 ways you can deliver that. The first one is having the camera just literally in environment. So at the moment, I'm filming my vidcast in my home-based office. I've got no green screens or anything behind me. It just is filming me right here, right now. There is also a green screen talking head video. Now, a green screen is literally when you have a green background behind you. You can get professional kits for that online. Where you have a green screen, you can replace that with anything. So you can use the green screen in the post-editing phase. You can put video behind you. You could, like, for instance, if you ever watch the news and they're sat with some landscape behind them, like some glass window looking out to a city, and you can see all the cars moving by in the background. Like, that could just be a green screen. Like, it's just a bit of fake stock footage that's been put behind them. It could also also be, you could put, I put, for instance, screenshots of my PowerPoint slides up behind me in my green screen videos and some of my tutorials. Other times I replace the green screen footage behind me with like a recording of the computer screen. So I can actually have the computer screen demo up behind me, and I'm going, so as you can see here, when you move the mouse over here, and I'll be pointing around all over the screen. Even though, as I'm filming it, there's nothing but a load of green behind me. Excuse me. Okay, so also what can you do? You can do audio files, you could do PDFs, you could do text files. There are endless ways that you can deliver your training. So what you want to do is go through each and every lecture and go, how am I going to deliver or, impart that information over to my audience so that they receive it in the best way? And then after that, we're going to move into step number 7 of creating a wildly successful online course, which is the actual filming and production of your online course. So this is the stage now where you've got all your plan, you know how you're going to deliver it, you've got it all together. Now it's time to get in front of that camera. So this is the bit where, again, there's a lot of strategies I use. I go into it very deeply into my online course, but also in other episodes. But this is the stage now where you want to go, how's going to be most engaging? Let's get this set up. Now, you can use your mobile phone. If you haven't got any kit yet, I would say something is better than nothing. It's less about your Hollywood production when it comes to online courses and more about the content that you're delivering. Personally, if I'm looking for some information on something and I do a search on YouTube, I couldn't care less whether the video I'm watching is on someone's mobile or whether it's some massive Hollywood production, as long as it gets straight to the point and gives me the answer I was looking for. So keep that in mind. Don't go, I can't create my course yet because I haven't got a big filming studio. Right, who cares? You've got a phone. You've got answers to questions that your audience have. You've got solutions to problems that they've got. You know how to do stuff they don't know how to do yet. For the love of all the gods, please, please, please share that with your audience. Please give that to the world, because the world needs it and wants it and is willing to pay you for it. So I would say, look, start with what you've got. Just grab your mobile phone, make sure you're in a well-lit room, make sure you've got a half-decent microphone if you can. If that's the first thing, if there's anything you're going to go and buy, I'd say get the microphone first, because sound is far more important than the visual. So record it. You can then use video editing software if you want to cut that up nicely and put some effects in it, put your website name along the bottom or your logo on the side. I use Camtasia Studio for that. It is a paid thing. You can get a 30-day free trial. It's about, I can't remember the exact figure, I think it's about 300 Australian dollars a year, roughly, for that. You can also use, there's lots of other screencasting, screen filming sorts of software or film editing software you can use. Now, alternatively, you can't be bothered to figure any of that out yourself. You could always outsource it to a company like mine, Main Training, that does video editing for you. Or indeed, you can go out and find a freelancer on somewhere like Upwork.com. Just be careful you get what you pay for with those. So that's what you need to do. Film it, edit it, and then you're going to add it to your own online school. Step number 8 for creating a wildly successful online course is to then decide which way you're going to sell your course. How are you going to host it? So are you going to put this course on an online course marketplace? Or are you going to put it on a learning management system? Or are you going to have some piece of software or plugin on your own website to host this? Now, my personal preference is all of them. They're all very different. They all work in very different ways, and they all come with very different requirements and management to maintenance methodologies, pricing considerations, all sorts. If you're not utilizing online course marketplaces, you're missing out on millions of eyeballs seeing your content and millions of potential leads. If you're not putting your content on your own platform, you're missing out on growing your own lists and having control over your own business. If you want to find out the difference between an online course marketplace and an online course learning management system and your own plugins, make sure you check into future podcasts where there's one that's dedicated just to understanding the differences of all of those. But I would say to you, make sure you have all of them. Now, what you want to do is find an online course learning management system, which is going to be your main hub. And in here, make sure that it has a whole range of features. Make sure you have full flexibility about the different types of content you can upload. So can you upload videos? Can you upload audios? Can you upload PDF files, multimedia documents? Does it have quiz and question functions? Can you integrate discussion areas in there? Does it integrate with like other things such as your email marketing software? Does it easily accept payments across different types of payment methodologies? Does it integrate with your email marketing systems and things like that? There are a number of different things that you need to check. And if you go to sarahcordiner.com/resources or coursecreatorspodcast.com/resources, I do actually have a free download of the 41 questions you need to ask before you pick a learning management services provider, because there's a ton of things you want to check to make sure you're getting it right. Also, just to give you a heads up, a lot of people say to me, which one do you use, Sarah? At the moment, my favorite one is Thinkific. So Thinkific really for me at the moment is the best one out there. It's the easiest to use. It's the best price. It has the simplest, easiest integrations. You can completely brand it yourself. And the guys there are super, super nice. I really think that they're just a great company and great people behind the platform as well. So if you do want to use my affiliate link for that, I'd be very grateful. It's sarahcordiner.com/Thinkific. And by the way, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not promoting that one because I'm an affiliate. I became an affiliate because I used to use it as a customer and I absolutely fell in love with it. And then I was like, well, geez, I'm recommending this thing anyway. I might as well get an affiliate link. So if you would like to use my affiliate link, it's sarahcordiner.com/Thinkific. Otherwise, that is stage 8. Stage number 9 then is to now start looking at your overall business model. Where does this actually fit in the process of your edupreneur business, right? Or your edu business? Is your online course just going to be a lead magnet into something else? Or is it going to be a whole income stream in its own right? Is it your main income stream for your business? Because each of these different things means that it's going to have a different place in your company and therefore needs to be dealt with very differently within your business. The way that you set up the landing pages and lead pages and email collections, even the price point, are going to have very big considerations. Now, I do have a whole separate episode on how to plan out your edupreneur business model. So we won't go into this into too much detail, but critically here, it's now for you to think about, where does this fit in my business model? Is this just going to be that lead magnet? Let's pretend you have a service. You create web design services. Ultimately, you want people to buy your web design services. So you might create a quick online course on the top 20 tips for creating the perfect website. You get paid for that. You can charge them a small amount maybe, or you might even just go, stuff it. I'm going to give it away for free because I know that the people taking that course want to create a website. So then I can show them my stuff, how good I am at this, get them to trust me through my course, and then upsell them to my services with a special discount or something. That's going to be a very different business model to somebody who, might maybe like me is an education type company, and this is like one of the main income streams. That means you're going to have to look at this in a much bigger way, a much more serious method for doing your marketing and your management and your systems. So where does it fit? Then finally, stage number 10 of creating a wildly successful online course is to then think about what your launch and your marketing strategy is going to be. So launching, marketing, 2 humongous topics. I actually have an entire online course called the Course Marketing Masterclass. I've even teamed up with a marketing genius to do boot camps, which are called the Course Whisperers boot camps. Nathan Haig, awesome growth hacker and marketer, purely because this is a whole other area of expertise in its own right. So this is massive. There's going to be lots of podcast episodes just on marketing online courses. But for now, I want you to be asking yourself the question of, what methods are going to work for you? Again, if you have a list, you're going to have very different marketing techniques to if you don't have a list. If you're posting your courses on marketplaces over your own LMS, again, there's going to be very different marketing options that are available to you. For instance, with marketplaces, lots and lots of websites already exist out there and Facebook groups exist out there specifically for marketing and promoting special discounts and coupons of those types of courses. If you have your own LMS, obviously you don't. So you need to be thinking about things like, are you going to do discounts? If so, think about your discount plan for the year, because you don't want to sort of offer your course at a certain price and then bring the price down over time, because that's going to piss people off who paid full price before, and so on, right? Are you going to be using affiliates? If so, how are you going to recruit and manage those affiliates? What pricing are you going to give them? Have you got systems in place to pay them? Are you going to be using paid advertising? If so, have you got all of those platforms and systems set up? Are you going to be, doing some kind of big mass launch where there's one big gate open? Or are you going to just have it as an evergreen open sale where people can just enroll whenever they like? Because those, again, are going to have different marketing strategies. So that's where you're going to sit down and say, right, write down a 12 to 18 month plan of how you're going to market this online course, how are you going to put it in front of people, and how are you going to get people to enroll. That is your next and final 10th stage of creating a wildly successful online course. So there you have it. That is, my friends, a big overview of what the 10 major milestones are when you're creating an online course. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that goes into each of those stages, which is what this entire podcast is about, going into detail with all of them, helping you along the way. Now, if you can't wait for all of the podcasts to come out, do go on over to sarahcordner.com/create course, and that will take you straight to the online course, which is open right now for you to dig in and get all of the how-to demos, the visuals of exactly what to do, all of the templates that you need so that you can go ahead right now and create your own wildly successful online course. It was great having you here on this episode today. It would mean a great deal to me if you'd leave a review and share this with your friends. Thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. See ya.